Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is episode 2 of Meet the Band Members for Rubber Band. And I'm really excited to introduce not only one of our band members, but one of our moderators. We have Dion Ha from Talent United. Welcome, Dion, and thanks for joining us today.
Hey, man, you're very welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing really well, mate, and excited to catch up with you. I think one of the things I've really loved about the Rubber Band Forum is I've met all these people that I hadn't met before, and you're one of them that our paths had never crossed until this network was established, and it's been really great to get to know you. And I know you've been working with other band members professionally, and So look. For all the people out there that haven't met Dion before, that are in the same boat that I was in, why don't you introduce us and tell us a bit about yourself and also Talent United?
Yeah, so look, I've been in recruitment for 17 years.
Wow.
16 years of those I've had my own business. So I pretty naively thought about 6 or 8 months in, I could do this myself. So started a business, made all the mistakes, and probably some of them many times over, and recruited across a bunch of different sectors. And about 2 years ago, my business partner, Gary Banks, and I at Talent United, we'd always talked for a long time about there's not a lot of options to go from being a recruiter to a recruitment business owner.
Yeah.
And much like myself, Gary did the same thing. He started working for a recruiter. About 4 months in, he went out on his own and, made all the same blunders. So we created Talent United essentially to run the brands that we have, which are 4 or 5 specialist brands under Talent United, but also to help recruiters set up their own businesses. So, and that's something we're both really passionate about. So we do that with people as kind of a joint venture. So it's not just we'll run you back in for $5,000 a month or whatever. We do it as a joint venture. So we put some real skin in the game, with them as well. So it's really cool.
That's awesome. I think having that support out there are so many entrepreneurs coming out of our industry and people going out on their own and setting up things. And it's really driving innovation for our local industry. So I think what you're providing is amazing. So well done to both.
Thanks.
Yeah, and loving listening to your podcast as well. So anyone out there, please make sure you follow Dion and you watch his and listen to his podcast. It's really exciting to see more of that happening in the industry.
It's a bit of fun. It's a bit of fun, and hopefully it adds some value.
Absolutely.
Just a couple of old recruiters ranting, basically. But we try and put a positive and a helpful spin on it to help people avoid making mistakes and just make generally life a bit easier as a recruiter or a candidate.
Yeah, and look, it's always really fun to listen to, so I'm really enjoying it. So the first thing I wanted to ask you is why did you join Rubber Band? I think it was about 12 months ago you joined us. Tell us about why you were interested.
It was pretty early on, and look, I had so when COVID hit, I was on my honeymoon, and we come back to Australia, and we had to do 2 weeks home quarantine. Which was interesting in itself when you get back from your honeymoon. But I walked straight back into, just this sort of feeling of what on earth is happening? How's this going to shape, obviously our industry and hiring and staffing, but what's it going to do for my business? And I reached out to a bunch. I'm fortunate to know a lot of other agency owners, and they were going through the same thing. And I know a lot of recruiters, and I was talking to a lot of them, and then kind of Rubber Band popped up, and I thought it's a brilliant idea because, there's a lot of people in recruitment, both internal and external, that they're going to be battered around by this, and if I can help in any way, I had the time. So I thought I'll get involved and again, see if we can add some value and be helpful. And as you say, I've met some really cool people in the industry, and hopefully help some along the way.
Absolutely. I think that's what it's all about. We set it up during that really tough time of COVID and lockdowns, but we've been on a roller coaster, our industry, right? So I'm glad we didn't. And it's all happening again. We're hearing about redundancies. We're hearing about business owners struggling. So whatever support, and it's so wonderful to have people like you that are there for people to reach out to. what I'm really keen to hear, Dion, what's one thing about our industry that you're really passionate about?
Look, for me, I think it's really this might sound sort of Captain Obvious, but it's the difference that you make in both the candidates and the clients' lives. Like, when you move somebody into a new role and it really goes well for them, and you know that they're advancing their career, and yes, they're probably making some more money as well, which obviously helps. But you're genuinely helping people advance their career. I think that's really cool. And equally, when you work with small to medium-sized business owners like we do, they say people are our greatest asset, people are the lifeblood of our business, et cetera, and then they entrust you to go and find the right person for their role. I think that's a massive responsibility, and that's something we drive into our team all the time. This is a huge responsibility. And again, when you get it right, and we get to see our clients, stress less and grow their business and all that sort of stuff. It's a really, I guess it's kind of on that client side, you're almost a part of the team. If you're doing it right, you've got that right kind of relationship. You're almost a part of lots and lots of teams. And again, I think that's really cool. I think you can get a lot from that.
I agree, and I think there's been a real shift in mindset when it comes to internal teams and agency teams, where internal teams are really looking for their agency partners to be really fully embedded in their businesses and in their teams. And
absolutely,
I think that passion that you have for that is driving that forward, and we really are closing that gap. And there's less of that us and them mentality. And I think that's something we should be really proud of as an industry and continue to strive towards, because as you described, at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing, and we're all trying to make a difference in people's careers, and we're all trying to do the right thing. And so if we can all band together and do that united, and there you go, I've put a play on words for Talent United, right?
It's called Talent United for a reason. But you're so right. It's it's such a, I think as a whole industry, whether you're internal or external, we play such a critical part in both sides of the equation. And when you get it right, you can make a massive difference.
Absolutely, and we're all in it for the same reason, and we're just getting closer and closer. And I love that about the Australian industry. I think it's really great, and in some cases it's really unique. So it's great to see. Tell me, mate, on the flip side though, what's one thing about our industry that you could change if you could? What's that one bugbear that you have?
Mate, I'd love to change the perception of agency recruiters. And I'm not naive enough to think that agency recruitment hasn't done a lot of it to itself. It really has. But it's interesting as an agency recruiter, you spend plenty of time on LinkedIn, and by plenty of time, I mean most of my waking hours. And, you hear a lot of people have had really bad experiences, whether they're clients or candidates. And so, I get it, but I would love the whole industry to just to rise up a little bit in terms of professionalism and how they conduct themselves and how they view what they do, get away from that transactional sales-based approach to it, because I think you can kind of tell when people are all about the money, and I think there's been so much of that has really damaged the reputation of agency recruitment. And it's a shame, because there's a lot of good operators out there. As I said, I know a lot of agency owners, and I know how much what they do means to them in terms of their client bases and their candidates, and so I think if everybody just did a little bit better, then clients and candidates would be able to, put a bit more faith in the process and the industry. There's heaps of good operators, but like any industry, doesn't matter, what occupation it is, there's a few bad eggs. But if I could improve the perception a little bit, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, and look, I think that it's the same within internal. You've got good operators, and you've got good operators, and it's all around conversation and connection. I think we've historically been running two separate industries, and that's not good, because we're like I said earlier, we're all trying to achieve the same thing, and we're all trying to help people, and we're all trying to drive people's career forward. So the more we talk, I know there are forums that are specifically for agency. There are forums that are specifically for internal. And I think, one of the things we're really passionate about in Rubberband is making sure that we close that gap and we bring everyone together and we start those conversations. We set the expectations. We say this is how we like to operate as an internal team, and form that true partnership. I think it's really important.
Yeah.
What do you think in terms of teams, whether it be agency or internal, or let's just talk talent teams, recruitment teams? Yeah. What advice would you give to our local teams here in Australia that would help them drive forward innovation? Tell me how would you inspire teams to try something new?
Yeah, look, my advice would be to always be looking at what you do and how you do it. I think that while recruiting staff and it's always been a challenge, right? It's harder now, arguably it's harder now than it's ever been, but it's always been hard. And I think that there's an element of both internal and external that have been kind of stuck in, this is the way we do it. And it gets harder and they do more of the same thing. And then they go, God, this is really tough. And they do more of the same thing. And I'm kind of pretty fortunate that that's sort of my approach, is to look at things, and my business partner Gary, he's very much the same. So we would spend time almost every day on the specific ways that we do things, and whether that needs to change, and is there new ways to reach audiences or communicate with them, because I think that our market and the technology and the messaging and the desires and needs and wants of the candidates changes so quickly that you've got to stay on top of it. So, yeah, my advice would be just to always keep an eye on what you're doing and how you're doing it, and see if be open to change. And if you are open to change, then you will probably go out and seek new ways to do things. And God bless the internet, you'll probably find those ways, right? If you're prepared to put the time in and test and measure a few different things. And I would strongly advise it.
Absolutely. I think test and learning is so important, and something we've historically been a little bit afraid of. Try things. As long as you've got the candidate, or in some cases the client and the candidate, front of mind in their experience, there's no reason why you can't try things. And joining Rubberband is a great way to bounce ideas off professionals across the industry at all different levels and all different industry segments. So I completely agree with that. So speaking of which, what if a Rubberband member out there or someone that's interested in joining, what could they reach out to you for support and advice when they're in that situation where they're keen to explore something new and they want to reach out? And tell us.
Look, I suppose more broadly, mate, I'd say they can reach out about anything. If they have a question about anything and I can add some value, I will. We've all got, I know we're all busy, but we've all got 5 minutes to help someone out if we can. But I suppose more specifically, on that Talent United front, if there's someone who's working in an agency and they want to go out on their own, there's a couple of different ways that we do that, but it really is about a true, partnership model, and about us bringing what we have to the table to sort of dovetail with someone's skills and experience, and to allow them to be able to spend the maximum amount of their time doing what they want to do and what they're good at, which for most people is recruiting and is not running a recruitment business.
Yeah.
For me, and probably more so over the last couple of years, I do less recruiting. I run a recruitment business now, and I back up a whole bunch of individuals to run recruitment businesses, and I love it. So that would be probably the key thing that we could help someone with. If someone's stuck in an agency and they hate it, and they want to go and work for someone who won't treat them like a profit center or like a number, but will actually treat them like a human being, and they can have a bit of fun while they're working and have some really good success, whether they come into our office or wherever they work. I don't really care. We'd love to talk to them too, because, finding good recruiters is very, very tough. And, we work pretty hard on trying to have a culture that people want to be around. So if somebody wants a new agency gig too, definitely, I'll definitely have a chat to them too.
Absolutely. And look, so many people in Rubberband have actually found their next opportunity just by, people posting up. We're looking for people and people saying I'm looking. Now we're out of time. So thank you so much for today, Dion. And anyone out there, please join Rubber Band. See you soon.
See ya.
Thanks, Dion. Cheers.
No problem.